Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about a story that follows the Easter story. So we know that Jesus died on the cross and that he was put into a tomb, and on the third day he arose from that grave. An angel was there to let Mary and her friends know that Jesus is no longer there, that he is alive, and to go tell the disciples and let them know that Jesus is alive. So today I want to talk about the disciples and what they were going through and how this took place. So I'm going to go ahead and use the flannel board. This is something that we use in Sunday school. I thought it would be a good idea to start using it in our videos. So the disciples were very, very concerned. They were they were just in shock of what happened. They had been following Jesus for so long and he had been doing these great miracles, and then to see him nailed to a cross and be crucified, it was devastating. One of the disciples said, "All of my hopes in the master's future have been dashed," while another said, I'm disappointed too. How can a king who was sent down from God be now dead in a tomb? And so they were all just very confused and concerned. That's all that they could talk about, was the death of Jesus and how this could possibly happen. So our story is actually with two of the disciples, and they were on their way back from Jerusalem to a city called Emmaus. So the two disciples were talking. They were walking, it was about 7 miles from Jerusalem to their city. And so they had a lot of time to talk about the death of Jesus. So one of the disciples said, "Wow, I really thought that Jesus came here to save Israel." And the other said, "Yeah, I thought that he was going to be this great political leader." The thing that the disciples didn't understand was Jesus did not come to earth to become the leader or the king of any place here on earth. He came here to save the souls of people so that we might live with him forever in the kingdom of heaven. And that's something that the disciples did not understand. So as they were talking and getting closer to the city, a third man joined. Now, does this man look familiar to you? Well, the disciples didn't recognize him at first. So the man said, "Wow, your conversation sounds very serious. Why are you so troubled?" And both of the disciples stopped and said, "What? Where have you been? Have you not heard?" And the man said, "Heard what?" And they said, about Jesus, the man from Nazareth. He was a prophet and he did a lot of wonderful miracles. And he was a great teacher too, but the religious leaders, they sent Jesus over to the Roman government to be condemned to death. And they nailed him to a cross and crucified him. The man listened as the disciples continued to tell them how concerned that they were. And you're not going to believe what else. We have heard about reports that he is alive. There are some women who is a part of our group of followers that said they heard from an angel that Jesus is alive, and they said they saw the empty tomb themselves. Even some of the other disciples said they saw Jesus too. Well, the man said, "Well, why is it so hard for you to believe what the prophets have told you long ago?" Then the man went on to tell them about the many truths of the prophets' writings. He quoted verses from the beginning of the first book of the Bible to the end of the scriptures. He kept telling them verse after verse after verse about Jesus. You see, in the Bible, there's many prophecies about Jesus being born and how he was going to live, and even that he would die and then be brought back from the grave. All of these things had been told hundreds of years before Jesus actually came. So why is it so hard to believe that this actually came true and happened? Once they finally got to the city, the disciples, they were very interested in what this man had to tell them. So they invited them over to one of their houses to spend the night. So now I'm going to switch boards. So here we are at one of the disciples' houses, and they're having dinner. So the visitor gave thanks to the Lord for the food, and then he took a small loaf of bread and he broke it and he handed it out to the disciples. At that time, they both knew exactly who this man was, and they can tell the marks that were in his hands from the nails and being nailed to the cross. They jumped up to praise Jesus, and in an instant, Jesus was gone. They were so excited. They started talking on top of each other. Oh my gosh, did you see that? Oh my God, did you see that? I can't believe that. We did see Jesus. He's alive. He's alive. They were so excited. We have to jump up. We need to go back to Jerusalem. We need to tell the other disciples what we just saw. So the two men jumped up. Okay, so now here we are coming back to Jerusalem. They were so excited to come and tell the other disciples and the followers what they had saw. They said Peter had seen Jesus as well. And the two disciples were so excited to tell them what they saw. And while they were talking, in an instant, guess who showed up? Jesus. And they all quickly forgot about their excitement and was, oh my, oh my goodness, are you a ghost? They were afraid. They were afraid because he just appeared. Are you a ghost? And he said, why are you afraid? It is I. I'm not a ghost. See, come touch me. Come feel my hands and see where the wounds are in my hands and in my feet. So the disciples went to see Jesus. It was really hard for them to believe that he was actually there. They could actually touch him. And all of the scriptures that had been written by the prophets were true. And so they had to believe it, and they could see him and touch him. So here he is with all of his disciples, not only in spirit, but in a physical realm. There he is. Isn't that great? That would be so crazy. I can't even imagine watching somebody die and then having them back right here in front of me. Only Jesus can conquer death and reappear to where the disciples actually got to see them. Isn't that a great story? Our verse today is found in Proverbs 3:5, and it reads, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Now that's one thing that we want to understand, how that happened or why that happened. We want to understand, and a lot of times we just can't. We need to trust in the Lord with all of our heart and lean not on our own understanding. So let's practice that verse together. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. All your heart, all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, with all your heart, with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. I guess that's an easy way we can memorize that verse, and that's found in Proverbs 3:5. Try to memorize it yourself. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, with all your heart, with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And that's found in Proverbs 3:5. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed our story, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.